Hamilton, Ohio. It's Off the Bench by Chatterbox Sports on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Uh-oh. It's just Elliot and Jacob. Welcome on in. ESPN 1410 Wing AM. Chatterbox Sports, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Welcome on in. Today is going to be a Friday fun show.
It might be one of the Friday-iest Fridays we've had in a minute.
When I was in high school, we would do, for a class, this was our journalism class.
Of course.
A couple of us would go out and we'd record a podcast. I think, I want to say it was Fridays. It could have been Thursdays for what it was worth. It's been like 10 years now, which is crazy. But, we would go out and we'd record a podcast. It would take like 2 hours and we'd just have fun. That's what today is going to be. It's going to be a high school Friday at 1:30, just record a podcast till the end of the school day.
I love it.
And that's what it's going to be. That's the Friday vibe here. It's Masters Friday. It doesn't get better than Masters Friday. So the vibes are immaculate. I walk into the office this morning, and what do I hear outside this door? It is Nickelback being cranked to 11 out there.
Wow.
I don't know what it's that song where it sounds like he's kind of rapping, but he's not. I don't know what that is. It's like he's going to the track, and then I don't know what that is. I don't know what song that is, but that's what they were rocking with out there.
Headlines getting in on the Friday fun.
So I was very excited to hear that. A million miles an hour, yeah, that might be it. But yeah, it's good vibes. It was cold this morning. We're still dealing with the cold.
That's a shame.
That's never. In fact, if I check right now, is it still supposed to be like 30 next week?
I hope
heading
not.
into. I feel like Easter's right around the corner, and we're still dealing with 20-degree weather. Yeah, it's still cold. It's not no 70s next week.
That's just not what I want in the second week of April.
It's no 70s. I will say the flooding, I don't know how I'm not going to tell you where I live, obviously, but I do live somewhat close to the Ohio River. It has flooded so bad around my house.
Yeah.
Like there's alternate ways I've had to get home. And for the first time ever this morning, I was able to kind of go my normal way without the Ohio River flooding in my yard.
That's big.
Or right around my yard, I guess I should say, down the street. But yeah, it's good vibes today. It's high vibes, and I'm excited to be here. Kinner, I believe, was visiting the tax man. He was visiting because this is tax season.
That's
and
right.
If you don't file your taxes, you're going to jail.
Hey, they come for you.
You're going to jail.
That's right.
I don't think I don't think I have enough like total dollars in my account for them to care about me per se. Like if I wanted to, and this is not financial advice. I want to make that very clear.
Of course.
If I didn't file my taxes and they looked at my account, I think they'd be like, you know what?
He needs it.
We'll give it to him. He deserves it. He deserves it. But yeah, welcome on in. Friday's show. Vibes for you, Jacob, they still high?
Still high.
Yeah.
Still high. Left work yesterday. It was a nice day. It was really, really, really nice outside. Was kind of upset, the last 2 days when we were out producing baseball, it was cold, and then now it's back to being cold. So I guess it just can't make up its mind. That's the beauty of living in Southwest Ohio this time of year, and I think that's kind of why we're all just expecting to get sick right around now. I missed some time a couple weeks ago, and I think that's always just the hot, cold is just asking for a flu or some kind of sickness. So if we keep doing the snip-snap with the 70 to the 30, I assume that'll happen again sometime soon. That's also what I blame for the bloody noses. I think that's the hot, cold air as well. So
you have more bloody noses than anybody I've ever met.
A lot of ailments for me because of the weather.
I also have ailments. I've had a headache for...
You're going on 2 months now.
I mean, right around 2 months, I've had headaches. So I've been told it's not serious. I've had a talk with a doctor, a very experienced doctor.
That's
Shout
good.
out Nate Seltzer. And I believe I'm okay. It's down to like 3 things. The radio people, do you want to hear about my ailments? Probably not. But I'm going to say them right now anyway. I've got either the left eye is messing up with my vision, or it's my neck and my posture, which very well could be this chair. Who knows? There's no way of knowing. But that's it. Let's get into some of the sports, because this is a very serious sports talk show before we get into more of the vibes.
The biggest sports news of the day, obviously, Masters Round 1 winner, and I think someone in this room, not me, might have benefited from that a little bit.
I'm not going to call myself a good gambler.
Never
once.
I will.
Never. You're going to call me?
I'll call you a good gambler.
I don't claim to be a good gambler. I DM'd Everett at some point yesterday. Shout out to Everett in the chat. I DM'd Everett yesterday, and I'm like, oh boy, we got something cooking. Because I know he's a golf guy, so I wanted to get my golf guy take from Everett. I know he's a Rory guy, and we'll talk about that here in a minute.
We sure will.
But I was watching, I'm like, and I didn't even know. I drove home yesterday, and I found out, I checked the score, and I saw who was leading, and it was Justin Rose. Justin Rose, I think at the time, was like 6 under when I looked. And I'm like, oh my God, he's leading the Masters by 2 strokes. And then it clicked. I bet on him. And usually, like, I sprinkle a couple of those first-round leaders in there, so like some of the late ones. I saw a stat, and I sent this, I believe, or I was sent this, and I saw this stat. So I'm going to read it right now when I find it. Hold on. All right, I got it. Justin Rose, 5th time. This is his 5th time leading after the opening round of the Masters. That is the most in tournament history.
A lot of or green jackets, right?
No. 9th round lead or co-lead in his career. That's the most of any player without a Masters win.
That is unbelievable.
Rose is the only player with multiple opening rounds of 65 or better in Masters history.
Wow.
He's the greatest first-round Masters player of all time, and they were giving me plus 6,500.
Did you have that stat in your back pocket when you placed the bet?
65. Yeah, I have a gambling group chat, and we were all like, ooh, let's sprinkle. My buddy put $2. What a sucker! Yeah. I put 5, and I felt like a king. I should have. I told Jacob this. If I would have put $1,000 on it, you wouldn't have seen me again. You wouldn't have seen it. Was 81-1. Shout out with the boost. It was boosted. But unbelievable. I'm not going to sit here and brag all show about it, but you have to wonder if I'm a sharp with that kind of bet. 81-1, and I put the last 503 in my account on it.
That's great.
But shout out to Justin Rose. We'll get into that in a second. Matt Bailey says golf stinks. You stink. No, I'm just kidding. I love you. We do have a super chat before I guess we get started, and it's a terrible super chat. One of the worst we've ever had. But I'm going to read it because you paid for it. This is a super chat from Justin Edgel, $4.99. Thank you, Justin. Most likely won't get read from these bags. I believe we are the bags in question here.
Of course.
And then he just says, Matt McClain, spelled wrong, is trash.
Okay, let's unpack that for a minute. Matt McClain is trash. I think that's a little bit of aggression and sadness from the injury.
Sure.
Coming out. Again.
Yeah, a little bit.
Obviously, last year, very excited to watch him play. Missed the whole year with an injury, and then now this year out, just, 8 games in? He played 8 games this year. So, a little frustration boiling over. Justin doesn't think McClain stinks. No one thinks McClain stinks.
Because he doesn't stink.
He just doesn't play baseball.
And that could be warranted. That there could be an issue there.
Certainly for a baseball player.
Yeah.
If you or I never podcasted, it would be a problem.
It would be a problem. I mean, some would say it would be a good thing, but I would say it would be a problem because I want to keep doing it. But I know there's some haters of me in the chat out there, and that's okay. That's okay. I saw our guy Randy on Twitter yelling at us the other day. And Randy, listen, if you want to get mad at me, that's okay. I'm not going to call everybody out who gets mad at me. It's the sports take game. But we're here, and we're happy. And if we didn't, there'd be a lot of people out there like Everett and Mouse Cop who are here every single day that would be very upset. And Mark Fetter. Shout out to Mark Fetters. But I guess this is a very serious sports talk show, so I think it's time to talk about some sports.
You want to send it to break before we go to the headlines?
Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to go to break. ESPN 1410 Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Elliot Rearing and Jacob Tissett here live in Hamilton, Ohio, in studio today as I hear Nickelback bumping throughout the walls of this office because we're all going to be big rock stars. We'll see you in a little bit. I'm trying to think of another Nickelback song off the top of my head, and honest to God, I can't think of one. There's Rockstar. There's that song I talked about earlier, but I didn't know the words. Man, I used to know Nickelback. Photograph.
Look at this.
Got
Photograph.
it. ESPN 1410 Wing AM, Off the Bench, Chatterbox Sports with me and Jacob. I assume you guys know me by now. I would hope so if you're listening in your car or on your radio. On your car or in your radio?
On your car would present some problems, but hopefully, as long as everyone's staying safe, listen however you'd like.
Sure. But here we go. It's time for headlines.
Of course.
Elliot's headlines.
That's right.
Score updates, breaking news, local and national headlines. Whatever's going on in the world of sports, Elliot has you covered. Off the Bench brings you Elliot's headlines.
If Corey Connors wins the Masters, I'll be rich.
Oh,
just a little spoiler for you there. Moving on to the other headlines before we get into golf. We'll start with Major League Baseball. The Angels, they blow out the Rays 11-1 thanks to an 8-run fifth inning. Taylor Ward, Mike Trout, and Adele each hit 2 home runs. Each of them had 2 home runs.
Adele's came in the same inning.
Really?
Yeah.
How about that? In their 11-1 victory over the Rays. Moving over to the Guardians, they take care of the White Sox 6-1. White Sox. You know what? This is going to be a live fact check. What is the White Sox record?
That's a great question. They started off the season hot. Their starting pitching rotation was one of the best in the league through the first series of the year.
Let's see if they're still hot. Nope, they're in last place early.
Naturally.
2-10.
Of course.
That hot start
was a 2-1 first series.
All right, that's fair. 2-10. They are 1-9 in their last 10. Good for them. Moving over to the Rockies, they lose the series, but they win the series finale. The Rockies lose the series, but win the series finale against the Brewers 7-2. The final score, because it's hard.
Not a place you want to play.
It's hard to win in Denver. That's what I've always said. The Red Sox, they win 4-3 in 10 innings over the Blue Jays. Trevor Story walked it off with a ground out.
Okay.
Not the best walk-off you've ever seen, but
a little anticlimactic.
It reminded me of the Hunter Renfroe. Remember Hunter Renfroe as a Red?
Oh boy, yeah.
Well, he walked it off. Was that 2023 or 20? Honest to God, I don't even know. Hunter Renfroe walked it off. He had a walk-off against the Cubs, I believe, and it was going to be a double play to get the Cubs out of the inning. But he outran it. He outran the double play for the walk-off, so good for Hunter Renfroe. Going over to the Braves and the Phillies, they fought through a lengthy rain delay yesterday. I assume it was a rain delay. But it was the Braves who walked away victorious in 11 innings. Marcell Ozuna hit the walk-off 2-run shot. Marcell Ozuna.
There was a fan in the stands dressed as a Marcell Ozuna lookalike, and many are saying that he might be saving the Braves season.
Wow. How about that?
Neon sleeve and everything.
Marcell Ozuna. Good baseball player.
Ozuna of the Braves.
That's right. And then we have finally, those were it. That was the only games last night. Reds versus Pirates tonight at Great American Ballpark, 6:40. Pirates have won 6 of their last 10 meetings. It's Brady Singer, 2.25 ERA, a 2-0 record, 15 Ks on this young season. He's taken on Bailey Falter, who stinks, 8.1 ERA. Though early, 8.1 ERA is always fun to see when you're going up against that guy.
Certainly.
Reds tomorrow, they play at 6:40 on a Saturday, and Sunday at 1:40, where it is Hunter Green versus Carmen Mlodzinski.
Sure.
Never heard of that person, but see you there at 1:40 on Sunday. We're going over to the NBA. Some NBA scores last night. Again, I guess everybody was off last night. The Pacers, they lock up home court advantage in the first round with their win over the Cavaliers. 114-112, the final score. Ty Jerome led Cavs scores with 24 points. I don't think, unless I was wrong, there weren't a lot of Cavs. Maybe it was just Donovan Mitchell was absent. It doesn't look like this is the time of the season where nobody plays.
Correct.
Nobody plays.
I believe the entire Eastern Conference, all the way down to the 10 seed and the play-in, have all clinched.
Really?
So you either have, for these last couple games of the season, you either have teams resting their stars so they're healthy for the playoffs, or the teams that know they're out of the playoffs are trying to lose to tank anyway. So, yeah, very, very weird time of year in the NBA. I was looking through the lines this morning when I was putting some of them in for tonight's games. You have some spreads, 19.5 for the Celtics, 11.5 for the Hawks, 16.5 for the 6 games under 500 Chicago Bulls. You have 14.5 for the Heat. These spreads are massive double-digit spreads in these games. Seems like the last week or so of NBA basketball in the regular season is pretty unwatchable.
Is it the last week? Last 2 weeks?
It's wrapping up. It's certainly wrapping up. I can try to do some quick
No.
math
We'll figure it out.
Games.
No, we'll save it. That's a stat for a later date. The Pistons, they beat the Knicks 115-106 thanks to Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham dropped 36. I feel like he's had an unbelievable season. Unbelievable season.
Yes, but he should not win Most Improved Player because that should never go to someone that went first overall.
100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100 Boy, that's a take.
I don't think if you go first overall.
But what if you're the first overall
rookie of the year? If you're
what if
an
you're
all-star? I don't think you are most improved.
Yeah, but what if you're first overall and you go to a team that's trash and historically bad?
Yeah.
And then you're also bad because the players around you are woeful. And then the next year you make the team way better. Wouldn't you say that could be most improved?
I think A Piston should be towards the top of most improved. I would give it to Malik Beasley before I gave it to Cade Cunningham.
Your takes, your brain. I want to see your brain. The Timberwolves, they blow up the Grizzlies 141-125 as the Ant-Man drops 44. Speaking of comeback player of the year, which is not most improved player of the year, but very close to it, in awards that I really don't care about. The Browns get their guy.
They
the
do.
Cleveland Browns have found their quarterback, and it's a name that we've all said that it's time for a reunion. Congratulations to Justin Kinner and the Cleveland Browns because 49-year-old Joe Flacco, he signed a one-year deal. Good for them. That is good news to hear.
Yeah, that's what they want. Last year, they said they didn't bring Flacco back because they didn't want it to be a distraction if Deshaun Watson struggles. So we all know that Deshaun Watson now obviously not on the team anymore, so they're okay with bringing Joe Flacco back. Oh, wait, he is still on the team.
He is.
So I don't really know what's going on here. I do think it's very interesting that two teams picking at the top of the draft that very obviously need quarterbacks both bring in two external quarterbacks during this offseason cycle.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett and Flacco for the Browns and Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston for the Giants. I just don't really understand that. If you're going to start over, I would certainly use either the second or third overall pick in the draft. Maybe they just really don't like Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart or whoever else you might have at QB2 and QB3.
The Bengals, this is some of interesting news, I guess. The Bengals, I believe, I don't know who broke it officially yesterday, so I don't want to misquote anybody. I guess 700 WLW is one of the organizations who broke that story. Hamilton County and the Bengals are asking Ohio for a $350 million renovation for Paycor Stadium. Obviously, some of the goals here, I believe, again, this is just all PR speak, so excuse me, but increase public engagement and utilization year-round, ensure Paycor Stadium remains a national destination venue for major sports entertainment events, which, technically, I guess it is. It hasn't really hosted a ton of sporting major events, but it has hosted concerts, if that's what you're talking about. The bank's sports and entertainment district's ability to continue to drive billions of dollars in economic impact for our region and the state of Ohio and create further development adjacent to the stadium, improve accessibility and safety throughout the stadium so fans and everybody and concert goers can go and have fun time. They want to
look at the preliminary concept for the north end zone.
There you go.
The renovations there, the concourse, which if you've been to Paycor, you certainly know that concourse needs some work. So that would be nice to have some changes there, and then obviously the overhead view of the stadium. It's the best case scenario for the Bengals to stay in downtown Cincinnati. We can certainly have debates on how they should get the money, but it's certainly a positive that they're trying the avenues to improve the stadium they're playing in now. Certainly a couple weeks ago we talked about the possibility of them moving away from downtown Cincinnati, and I don't think anyone would be too happy about that. So spinning the tires on improving Paycor Stadium, certainly I think a good thing for Bengals fans.
I also think that, here's my thing. If you want to ask the taxpayer to pay for your stadium, I'm okay with it, as long as you bring me championships.
Yeah.
If you don't bring me championships, I'm not paying for your stadium.
Fair enough.
I think that's the baseline.
Fair enough.
If the Reds win a World Series in the next 5 years, if Castellini can specifically Venmo request me $1,000 for whatever he wants, he could just have that $1,000, and I'll give him $1,000. If you bring me a World Series, the Bengals, same deal. You win a Super Bowl, here's my money. I'll just give you all my money. Thank you very much for my happiness. That's what it takes for me. If you don't win a Super Bowl or a World Series, or if you're the Reds and don't do anything ever, then unfortunately you can't ask me to do any money. I also think if you own a team, you're probably responsible for the stadium. But I'm sure we can talk about that a little bit later. So continuing on with headlines, as I mentioned, the Masters. Now, there is one very, very funny story about the Masters yesterday. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about him. I assume it's the same guy.
It's the same guy. Yeah. We'll start with the leaderboard. So we'll start with the the current leaderboard updated. Justin Rose still leads the tournament. He is 1 under through 4 holes today. He's at 8 under par, leading by 4 shots right now. Ludwig Oberg, I believe. Ludwig Oberg.
I think it is Oberg.
It's an A with an O over the top of the A.
That's correct.
Ludwig Oberg, Corey Connors, Scotty Scheffler, all sitting at 4 under par right now in a tie for second. You have Sungjae Im, who is 2 under through 2 today, to push him up in a tie for 5th with Tyrrell Hatton and Bryson DeChambeau at 3 under par. You have Berger, Fitzpatrick, and Akshay Bhatia, Aaron Rai, Harris English, and Jason Day tie for 8th at 2 under par, and a whole bunch of 1 under pars, which includes our good friend Freddie Couples.
Oh,
Freddie Couples
wow.
1 under par. That might be another guy to kind of sprinkle,
That's
like not to win the first round, but top 10
20,
first.
top 10.
Yeah, like he always has one good round, and then he's like, oh yeah, I'm like 100 years old.
Yeah.
But other than that, not a ton of like notable shots from yesterday. I know there was a couple great holes, but the story I have is Rory McIlroy. He was 4 under par. 4 under par. And for those of us who had a Justin Rose first round winner bet, you were very nervous around the 15th hole. He was chipping for eagle at 4 under par. Sails it into the water.
Yeah.
Double bogeys that hole, and goes on a double bogey another hole. I believe it was the last hole he played. Now sitting at even par. Rory McIlroy's at even par after being 4 under par through 15.
He was the betting favorite at 4 under par through 15.
Was he really?
He was. At least for a period of time. There is a screenshot circulating of him at the top of the live odds.
I wanna believe in Rory McIlroy. I want to try to believe in him. I just don't think he's got it in him. There's something about a clutch.
No.
There's something about a clutch gene you gotta have, and Rory doesn't have the clutch gene.
What tournament was it where we crumbled so bad we got in his car and he sped off afterwards, almost ran over the reporters, but he had to get out of there so quick?
Oh, I don't know which was
But
that.
you
That was
remember
the one Bryson won.
Correct.
I think, right? Yeah.
You remember which U.S. Open? Thank you, Everett. Yeah, I think that might have broken him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been so long since he's won a major, since he's been back atop that.
The 2014 PGA Championship.
Right. Unbelievably long for a guy who's been as dominant as he's been on the tour in terms of winning everything else, basically. I mean, he stacks wins during the season. He still finishes as a top 5 to 10 golfer in the world every single year in the FedEx standings. And he's just unable to get that major again, and in over 10 years. And I think being so close and choking it away at the end there, too, I think it plays into this as well, to a live guy, when, you've been at the forefront of the PGA, part of this whole thing. I think that really hurt him. I think every time he's going to get up for one of these majors, he's going to be thinking about that, and he's going to be thinking about how long it's been. Everett puts in the chat, he was playing the best golf of his career going into Augusta. Absolutely. And then you see what happens. So I think this might be the new Rory McIlroy, as much as we might hate to see it if you are a Rory fan. He might just not have it at the top of the game anymore.
The time frame from when Tiger won the 2008 U.S. Open. His next major was the 2019 Masters. Yeah. Rory's on the same drought. Like, Rory's on that 11-year drought. He's 0 for his last 38 majors.
Unbelievable.
0 for his last, and he doesn't miss them. Like, he's usually healthy.
And he's not, like, missing the cut. It's not like he's not been competitive. He's been in the mix in a lot of those. Obviously, the ones we just mentioned, where he finished second and third. So, I mean, it's crazy that in a sport like golf where, more often than not, if you're looking to, bet golf or predict winners in these tournaments, you just look back and, okay, this guy's been right there in the top 5, 10 for the last however long. He'll break through. That's just kind of how golf works. Hasn't been the case for Rory whatsoever for some reason when you get to those majors. And I would love to know what kind of streak he's on now of whether it's top 10 or top 20 or whatever the finishes are without winning. Because I have to think that he's on a stretch now of being as competitive as we've ever seen without getting wins in those majors.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but that's the sport of golf. I will say I texted Jacob this like when we were discussing what we were going to talk about today. The turn of how these golfers have been like recognized. I think they're like I'm still waiting for a true villain in golf.
Yeah,
we had it for about a year or two with Bryson.
For sure.
But his narrative has switched completely. Everybody loves Bryce now, including myself. I hated him.
Me
now
too.
I love him.
Me too.
Was it at the Masters where he tripped on the wire and he hit his face and he freaked out? Do you remember that?
Is that the Masters?
I don't know which tournament that was.
It was definitely a major because I was
that
watching
was one.
it.
That was one of the ones that were like, all right, this guy's just unbearable. Now
Yeah.
he's transformed himself.
The whole Brooks thing when in his interview and all that. I certainly didn't like that, but his YouTube presence has changed his appearance drastically.
Yeah.
In terms of all
and
that.
Rory, as being one of the most likable, lovable golfers ever, especially during the run that he had right around that 2012, 2014 time frame.
Yeah.
Everybody loved him. Everybody was on him. And now here we are. We sit in April 2025, and he has to be one of the more unlikable players on the tour.
I would say so, almost certainly.
Yeah. I just I don't know what it is. I know Liv certainly didn't help all this, and that's a fair point of contention. But it's just like the turnaround for some of these guys is crazy. Like Sergio Garcia was a villain for a little bit. Phil Mickelson was a villain.
Did you see his outfit yesterday? Sergio Garcia's?
No.
Gold shirt, red pants. It was full Ronald McDonald.
Really?
Oh, it was insane. Second worst outfit of the day, I think, behind that upside-down hat, if we want to talk about that guy.
So now we'll talk about it. Now that was a great segue because this
I'm
guy...
I'm going to find the Sergio Garcia picture for you.
Jose Luis Ballester is the name. Jose Luis Ballester from Arizona State.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second and just take a look at what our dear friend Sergio Garcia was wearing yesterday. Because it is insane.
Oh, my God. What was he doing?
It's insane.
Who is he sponsored by?
I think he's representing maybe Spain. I know he plays for Spain in all the international events, so maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know if it was a sponsor, but yeah, certainly a Ronald McDonald-esque fit at Augusta, and wasn't the worst of the day.
I mean, that's just flat out gross. What was he thinking? I mean, I mean those pants are a crime. But that wasn't maybe. I mean, that actually is the worst outfit. I mean, that's flat out the worst outfit of the day. But the second worst outfit of the day comes because this young man, Jose Luis Ballester, competing in his first Masters event, Arizona State. He wore a backwards letter hat of Arizona State. What's the style on that?
So this is, and I like to claim that I'm hip with the times. I know what the youth
Sure.
like to wear. This is one trend that I don't understand at all. The upside down hat. I don't get it. I don't know where it started. I think my best guess would be Dak Prescott. His Dallas hat that's upside down is the first time I remember seeing this. I don't understand it. I don't know who it's for. I don't know why it's upside down and reversed. I think it's a terrible look. That's a cool hat if it just said Sun Devils across the front. But you flipped it and then put it upside down, and now I don't understand it. And I don't understand how you go in your closet and grab that hat to go play Augusta. But certainly made a lot of news while he was playing, and then made a lot more news after he was done playing.
This is a quote. This is a quote from Jose Luis Ballester, who admitted this openly. There was some applause yesterday.
Wasn't pushed at all.
No. There was some applause yesterday, and people were asking, and it involved him, and I guess the reporters after the round were like, what was going on with that applause? You weren't hitting a shot or anything. So this is the quote. I'm like, I really need to pee, Ballester said after his round. Didn't really know where to go, and since JT had an issue on the green, I'm like, I'm just going to go sneak here in the river. And probably people would not see me that much. But they did see him. Quote, they clapped for me. Probably one of the claps that I really got today real loud. So that was kind of funny. My guy peed in Ray's Creek.
Shouldn't have.
He urinated in Ray's Creek.
You know what's even better?
What?
There's a toilet structure right next to that tee box.
What is going on?
They have bathrooms next to the tee box that he was in. And he said he forgot about it.
They have to kick him out, right? They're going to let this young man pee in Ray's Creek?
The hat was enough for me. And then you want to do this?
Absolutely insane.
Unbelievable.
So shout out to that guy. That guy just made a mockery of the Masters in one day. He'll never be invited back. Unless, I guess, he wins it. Unless he wins. Boy, that would be a story.
Yeah. The only other Masters story that I did want to touch on, because I think it's kind of funny.
Okay.
We had a record yesterday, one of the worst scores in Masters history.
Oh, boy.
Nick Dunlap shot a 90.
All right, so here's my take. Nick Dunlap, that's a good score. 90 is a good score. It's a shame that, like, professional golf goes by, like, the minus or plus metric. If they just go by, like, yeah, he shot a good round if he was playing with his friends, having some beers.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good, like, if I shot a 90, I'm thrilled.
Oh, yeah. Nick Dunlap and I did a project together my junior year of high school, or college.
Really?
Yeah, he went to Bama. We had a project together in sports media my junior year of college.
Did you know he was a bad golfer then?
Well, that was right before he was a really good golfer
Okay.
and won that tournament and dropped out of school to go compete on the professional tour.
I see. That's a probably smart play by him. 18 over?
Yeah,
Is that right?
That's not good.
That's bogey golf, man.
Yeah, and if you look at the scorecard, it really looks like it because there's
Yeah,
a lot
but
of
like
squares.
if you're like if I finish a round and
For sure.
I go to the tee box or I go to the clubhouse, they're like, how do you shoot? Oh, I shot. It was bogey. It was bogey golf today. It was like, all right, that's not bad.
What's
Bogey
the
golf.
level of joy you would have if you shot a 90 at Augusta?
I would if I shot a 90 at
I
Augusta
think I'd
National.
float to my car. I drop the
You
card
could
off. I just
you
float.
could bury me. You could bury me there.
Yeah.
Take my picture, give it to my family, and bury me at Augusta.
Be pretty rad.
Because that would be insane. I think that's a good score. And if I ever golf, Nick, at Augusta National, that's the score I'm aiming for. So good job. Don't listen to the haters. Just try to drop a couple strokes. That's all I say. But that's it. Those are your headlines. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench. We will see you guys in a moment. It's the battle of the 5 and 8s. The 5 and 8 Pittsburgh Pirates come to Cincinnati to take on the 5 and 8 Cincinnati Reds. I said to temper expectations. I said it.
You did.
I said it this year. I said I wasn't going to say they were going to the World Series. I said that. But it still hurts the way that this season's played out. And I don't know who to really blame for it. My finger always points at the front office. But you can point at Terry Francona. You can point at our outfield. You can point at just about everybody except for the pitching staff. You can't touch any of them. Maybe Ian Jabot.
Funny enough, top 2 pitchers in NL WAR, Nick Lodolo, Hunter Green.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
1.1 WAR for Hunter Green through 3 starts.
And it's those type of performances by some of our best players that makes it all the more frustrating. Because if they were bad, like if Hunter Green had like a 5 ERA, Nick Lodolo was rocking a 4.9, and we just weren't competitive. They ranked like 20th and start in ERA, 21st in WHIP. If they were genuinely bad, I wouldn't have an issue. I wouldn't have an issue with where this team is. I would be sad, I'd be angry, I'd be frustrated, but I wouldn't be disappointed. I'm disappointed. That's the feeling I have right now. And we come into a series, it's a pretty big one. It's, I'm not going to say that it's a must win, but it's certainly a please don't lose. It's not a must win, it's not a can't lose, it's please don't lose.
I think this series is going to tell us a lot about this team because this is the first series of the year. I know we're 4 series in, but this is the first series of the year of a team I think in the preseason that we would have said is worse than us.
Yeah.
I think at best we thought, optimistically we were on Milwaukee's level. We were maybe on the Rangers level after they struggled last year. Giants certainly a better team than we are. We're still the only team that's beaten them so far this year. They're one of the best teams in all of baseball, at least to start. So having a chance here in your first series against the Pirates to prove that a team that's really had your number for the last few years, we're taking a step here. We've struggled to start this year, but we're coming home. We're playing, a divisional opponent at home. We're going to prove that we aren't the worst team in this division, because that's where we're at right now. These two teams are last in the NL Central with the same record, and at the end of this series, one of them will be there alone. And I really hope it's not the Reds.
But the craziest thing, one isn't like the other. The Pittsburgh Pirates, I can't tell you how poor of an organization that is.
They're the same as us.
They're the same as the Reds. The difference is they beat us in 2013 in that BS wildcard game. Cueto. That's the difference between these two franchises over the last 25 years. So I guess credit to them. Kudos to them. You got that one. But they're bad, man. It was the first year they signed, I forget what the stat was. They signed like a contract extension. It was a record contract extension for the first time in like the 50 millions or something over like 10 years. I don't know what that contract was, and sorry for not having the number right in front of me. But these two teams, I'm going to read some of these stats and just listen to how different they are pitching staff-wise. The Cincinnati Reds pitching staff, they're fourth in Major League Baseball in team ERA. They're third in batting average against, and with a 0.98, they rank first in Major League Baseball in WHIP, walks plus hits per inning. First in Major League Baseball, 0.98 as a team this season for the Reds pitching staff. The Pittsburgh Pirates pitching staff, 21st in ERA, 23rd in batting average against, 20th in WHIP.
Yeah.
This is where they get similar. The Reds, 26th in batting average, they're hitting 206. The Reds rank dead last in OBP, 267. They're 17th in runs somehow. It's only because 2 games they scored 30. Right. 16th in home runs, which shocked me. They have 12 home runs. That ranks 16th in Major League Baseball. They're 25th in slugging percentage. 25th in slugging percentage, dead last in OBP. The Pittsburgh Pirates offensive numbers. They rank dead last in average. They're hitting a $198 as a team. A $198 as a team. I listed all those stats yesterday for the Reds and how bad the Reds offense was. They're worse by a wide margin.
Yeah.
24th in OBP, 18th in runs scored, 3 behind us, and 26th in home runs with 8. 29th in slugging percentage as well. They don't hit the ball.
Right. Neither do we sometimes, though.
If our pitching staff shows up like they've showed up the past 2 weeks, the Reds honestly should win these games in shutout fashion. I know you can't expect shutouts every night, but this shouldn't be a competitive series.
I agree.
If the Cincinnati Reds bats show even a little bit of promise, this series will not be close.
We missed Paul Skeens as well, which is big.
It should be a sweep. I mean, I'm going to say it should be a sweep. The Pirates aren't good. You avoid their best pitcher. Maybe the best pitcher in Major League Baseball. We're playing a guy tonight who's got an 8 ERA. If you just show up a little bit, you're going to win this series. So my question for you, Jacob, is if the Reds were to lose this series, and we'll go into the worst case scenario first. Okay. They lose this series at home to a Pittsburgh Pirates team who I just mentioned, atrocious.
Correct.
What does that do for you going forward with the Reds?
Makes it really tough to, think about going to the ballpark on either Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday against Seattle. I'll tell you that much. I mean, I legitimately think, and it's crazy to say 13 games into the season, for fan vibe and, just the city in general getting back to where we were, in the 6th and 7th inning of opening day before, it came crumbling down, getting back to those vibes, getting back to that belief in this team. I think you have to win this series. And I know you asked what the thought process is if you lose, but I don't think you can lose. And you can't have a must-win series this early in a 162-game season. I understand that. But if you turn around and you drop 2 out of 3 to the Pittsburgh Pirates here, I mean, we had 10,000 people at that first Rangers game after losing the opening series to the Giants. I guarantee you it'll be lower than that for the Mariners if we lose this series. So you're going to lose the very, little part of this fan base that's still all the way in on this team. You're going to lose, a chunk of that. So, it doesn't have to be the most exciting win. It certainly would be nice, but even squeaking out another 2-0, 1-0 win you got to just stack wins. You have to win this series. And quite honestly, you got to win the next one. And, we'll see what happens after that. But if this Reds team, keeps trading 2 series losses for a series win, all these, uneven trades it seems this team makes in the record book, they're not ever going to get to a point where we have faith in them to make a run. And I think that's where we're at, and it's a shame we're there this early in the season. If you lose to the Pirates, I think most of us just start scratching our head and saying, are we the Pirates?
Yeah.
Are we that 25 to 30 range team in the MLB? Should we be thinking about next year already? And I think that's such a painful place to be, especially after we thought last year was the year and it was taken away from us with injuries. And then this year, Terry Francona was supposed to turn it all around, and certainly, I know we're going to get into it here in a little bit, but has been I don't want to say a negative for the Reds, but I don't know what else you call it at this point. So it certainly has been about as frustrating as 13 games can be to start this year for the Reds. And you have a 3-game series at home against a division rival. The city of Cincinnati hates the city of Pittsburgh in sports.
Correct.
That's just how it works. So this lines up very, very well. If you can get 3 wins and get a sweep, or even win 2 out of 3 and win the series in even a remotely exciting fashion on the weekend against Pittsburgh, I think it'll reinvigorate this fan base maybe more than it should in terms of how it affects the odds of this team actually having success this year. But winning this series, I think it's massive for how much fans are going to be in on this team for the near future.
And it doesn't mean the world. This isn't the series that's going to change the course of the season. You're playing a bad team at home. It's more simple than that. Just win 2 or 3 at least. Yeah. I think there's a chance for a sweep. By the way, you mentioned fans of the ballpark. I believe it's shaping up for a potential Nick Lodolo versus Luis Castillo.
Wow.
Tuesday night game.
$3 beers for Nick Lodolo, Luis Castillo.
I believe that's what it's shaping up to be.
Wow.
But you mentioned the upcoming schedule, and it's the ailing Orioles are after the Mariners. So you got 3 games with the Mariners at home after this. You go onto the road to Baltimore. 3 games there. You got 3 games with the Marlins, 3 games with the Rockies in Colorado. Tough place to play. You got a Cardinals team that can't play baseball for 4 games at home, and then a Nationals series at home. There are so many winnable games coming up that if you don't take advantage now, you're not going to have a chance later on, because it does get tough. I mean, it's going to get tough relatively soon. There's a stretch where I think this is in late May. The Reds go Cubs, Royals, Cubs, Brewers, Diamondbacks, Tigers. I think if there was ever an easy portion of a Major League Baseball schedule, it's right now for the Cincinnati Reds. It's all in front of them.
Absolutely.
It's all in front of them. You take advantage now. Again, tonight, Bailey Falter has an 8-point-something ERA. He's taken against, I guess, our number 3. I'll call him our number 3,
yep.
Brady Singer. Brady Singer's been phenomenal. Starts with tonight. You win tonight. You win tomorrow. Hunter Green's on Sunday, so I'd like to win that one too.
That's what I'm saying.
So that's just the method for success. And by the way, you sweep them, you're 500, and it feels like a new team, at least at that point. So we'll see. It doesn't mean the world, but it does certainly help a lot going forward for the Cincinnati Reds.
You
I'm
mentioned
hoping
how big this stretch is for them. Obviously, you have to stack some wins. Got some good news last night that Austin Hayes is sent to AAA Louisville for his rehab assignment. So hopefully he'll be back in the mix soon. How much do you expect him to help this team when he does get back from Louisville? And are you worried at all that it feels like we're putting a lot of pressure on him to be the savior for this Reds lineup? And we've seen this story before. I mean, Will Benson, when he was killing it in AAA, we thought he was going to save this lineup. Comes up first game, 0-for-4, 4 strikeouts. Last year we were talking about Mike Ford in AAA coming up to save this team. And he certainly never did. We haven't had one of these, save the team guys in a while, since McLean came up and did what he did in 23, since Elly came up and reinvigorated this fan base like he did when he debuted. It just feels like Austin Hayes is falling in that category of, it's a 1-year, $5 million deal. That's a fine outfield bat to take a bargain on. It's not a guy that's going to, turn your entire season around, and that seems like where a lot of Reds fans are right now. So what are your expectations for Hayes once he gets through this rehab assignment?
And again, I don't mean to be negative the whole time. I don't think Austin Hayes can fix these problems the same way I don't think Gavin Lux could fix the problems. There's too many issues right now with the quote-unquote core. Tyler Stevenson's gone for God knows how long. Matt McLean's gone for God knows how long. You have CES, who, again, young, sure. Is he young? He's not putting together great at-bats. He's hitting 170. You have Spencer Steer, who's hurt and not good right now. And it's just, you stack all of them together, and you look at the bench, and it's like Jacob Hurtubise and Blake Dunn and Noelvi Marte and Will Benson, they're on the roster too. It's like there's no semblance of an offense here yet. It's early, mind you. Austin Hayes on the Dodgers would be a great fourth outfielder. A great fourth outfielder. For the Cincinnati Reds, he has to be outfielder number 1.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure. And I don't think Austin Hayes, it's no disrespect on him, he's not that player. He's not the savior of a team. He can make an impact. He can make a significant impact, an upgrade. In fact, anybody would be an upgrade. Literally anybody in the outfield would be an upgrade over what we've got going on. But I'm not going to sit here and expect Austin Hayes to change the world. I'm not going to do that. You know, I think he's a great baseball player. I think getting him for $5 million is a steal. The Reds did a good job bringing him here. But there's too many issues. There's too many issues with the offense to sit here and say that Austin Hayes is going to fix anything. I mean, hell, when he comes up, I guess, where does he hit? 3? He hits 4?
He was supposed to be cleanup before he got hurt.
So I'm gonna again temper your expectations with Austin Hayes. I'm not gonna sit here and expect the world. Jake Fraley, clearly, I love him respectfully, does not have it anymore. Will Benson, it's early to say on Will Benson, but I'm not gonna sit here and expect Will Benson to hit 25 home runs a season and be a competitive baseball player offensively. You know, Austin Hayes, I think, can be better than both those two guys and at least give the Reds some semblance of consistency. That's what the Reds have been missing for 3 years now, is consistency at the plate. I don't think he's the world's best player, but I think he's consistent, and that's what you're going to get out of him. And hopefully the other guys come around. You know, if you want to believe into the narrative that it's early and the season's still young and the whole world's ahead of us, that's great, and you're not wrong, because it is. You know, there's a lot of baseball left to play. We're not even, I don't know, what, 10% of the season. Yeah. I always see the fun stats where it's like if you correlated where you are in the MLB season to the NFL season, you're in the third quarter of game 1. Yeah. You know? That's like where the Reds are right now. So it is early. But some of these guys just got to be better. Austin Hayes, I don't expect too much out of him. But we'll see. I could be wrong. Maybe he comes up and he's a superstar. Maybe he's an all-star like he was a few years ago.
The closest thing we're going to have to a savior this year is Tyler Stevenson. I don't think this team's going to go out and get some kind of addition of a guy that's going to be, a stud for this major league lineup right away. I don't think Luis Robert trade is coming imminently. And the best bat certainly on this team, maybe outside of Elly De La Cruz and Matt McClain, third best bat on this team is Tyler Stevenson. So getting him back is going to be a huge, huge, huge boost to this team. But also, I don't know how much excitement there is from Reds fans to put him back in this lineup, because we feel like we've seen that lineup before, right? We've seen this lineup with the addition of Tyler Stevenson. Even though he is a better player than Austin Hayes offensively, I think that's why a lot of people are holding on to Austin Hayes. It's just the new toy. And, you put Tyler Stevenson in there. We saw a team with Tyler Stevenson as the primary catcher not even come close to the playoffs last year. We haven't seen, the Reds with some of these other guys. So maybe that optimism is just, what you haven't seen before. Maybe a change of scenery can really push a team over the edge. I don't know. But I do think the biggest thing we should be looking out for the Reds and what's going to cause the biggest swing in this season is any update on Tyler Stevenson. Whether that's pushing back the timeline, giving us a timeline, or if he, if we're lucky enough that he comes back and plays relatively soon, that's going to be the move that helps the Reds the most this season, I think. I'm
hoping the Reds improve. I'm hoping they get better, because it's hard to be this bad offensively all year long. But it is a worry. It's a concern when you're missing guys left and right. So hopefully we get some news on Tyler Stevenson. But even then, last year we got news, and it was just wrong information. But that's it. We're going to switch over to Reds buy or sell. Reds buy or sell. I'm going to try to be positive. It's not going to work, but I'm going to try for this Reds buy or sell.
I think I'm going to be positive.
You're going to be positive? ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench, Elliot Rearing, Jacob Tizzett, presented by United Dairy Farmers. We will be with you guys in a moment. Look at this photograph. Every time I see it, it makes me laugh. ESPN 1410, Wing AM. It's a Nickelback Friday. Shout out to the guys at Headlines for blaring some Nickelback this morning. Get the vibes going. Heading into the weekend. The Reds. Every time we talk about the Reds on this show, it just gets negative and sad.
That's the thing, right?
And it's probably, unfortunately, going to continue here in this segment. As we do a Reds buy or sell. I haven't done one in a little bit. We're going to bring it back here on this beautiful Friday. So, Jacob Tissett.
Elliott Rearing.
Reds buy or sell. David Bell would have this team in a better spot right now, though young, through whatever 20 games, 15 games into the season.
I'm going to buy it.
You're going to buy this.
I'm going to buy it from strictly a record perspective.
Okay.
I think I certainly believe in Terry Francona and what he's building from a leadership perspective, a locker room perspective. We've talked about it on this program a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it certainly means something that his press conferences are 10 times better than David Bell's are. But looking at the schedule right now, David Bell in 5 years never lost 3 straight 1-0 games.
Yeah,
David Bell never closed Ian Jabot. So right there for a 5-8 team, that's 2 wins from what we saw the last 5 years for David Bell.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's as frustrating as it could come right now for Reds fans because even the least optimistic of us when it came to Terry Francona didn't imagine this.
I'm going to sell it because, again, I don't think a manager can fix this team.
Correct.
I don't think literally any human being that's ever walked the earth could have fixed the Cincinnati Reds last season or this season. The roster was just not built to win when you have injuries. You have to be 100% healthy all the time, and clearly, that's not a recipe for success with the Cincinnati Reds. It hasn't been for 5 years now. Injuries stack up. They're massive injuries. Tyler Stevenson, Spencer Steer, Austin Hayes, everybody being hurt this season has just crushed the chances. I don't think David Bell could have fixed I think David Bell wins opening day. But outside of that, I think David Bell does mostly the same things. Yeah. Terry Francona hasn't, as a manager, done the same exact style of when to bring guys into the bullpen, when to intentionally walk guys, right? When to do righty-lefty, lefty-righty. When to do all the analytic stuff that David Bell did. Terry Francona doesn't do that. He does it his way. He does it the old school way. That's what everybody wanted. They wanted the old school way. Here's my issue. When you do it the old school way in the new age baseball and you don't have the talent, it doesn't work. It's not going to work. The same way the analytics aren't going to work when you got guys out there that are all hitting $125. Just not going to work. So I'm going to sell this because I think they'd both be in a bad spot and everybody would be blaming David Bell the same way they're blaming Terry Francona right now. I just don't think the team's good enough to warrant blaming the manager. You can blame the manager when you're the Dodgers, I guess, and you have legitimately 15 Hall of Famers on your roster.
Yeah.
And they're underperforming. But they're not underperforming.
Correct.
They're great because
Right.
they got a great manager, they got a great team, they got an infinite budget. I think about like the role of a coach in professional sports, and I truly, I've never been in a locker room with professional athletes. I've never seen how they interact in there. I don't understand, the fans' obsession with, well, Terry Francona needs to yell at people. That's what David Bell missed. David Bell didn't yell at him. He didn't hold him accountable. They're professional athletes. There's only so much motivational speaking you can give. There's only so many ways you can yell at a player to tell them to be better before you realize they're not any good. This Reds roster wasn't built to win if affected by injuries. They have been affected by injuries pretty early on in this season. So I'm going to sell this. Jacob bought it. I'm going to sell it because I just don't think it changes no matter who's running this team.
I will say with a team, like the Reds, the way they're built, I think a manager that, hits Santiago Espinal second against a right-handed pitcher and leaves Gavin Lux in there against lefties when you have different bats on the bench and is locked into hitting Elly third. I think that old-fashioned managering is hurting a team like the Reds more than it hurts anyone else because they don't have those good players. They have players who are built to platoon and built to, play certain situational baseball, and that Terry Francona might not want to do that, and that's fine. He's a Hall of Fame manager. He certainly won 2 World Series, coaching his way. Maybe that's not, a way that works for the Reds, and maybe it takes a couple weeks for him to realize that this is a team that he's going to have to manage a little bit differently.
And we'll see. I guess we'll figure it out as the season goes along. Buy or sell, the Reds will have 2 pitchers that finish in the top 10 in Cy Young voting.
I would love to buy this. You don't
Young.
even know how much I want to buy this. I can't.
You can't do it?
I can't, because Hunter Green's going to win it. Hunter Green's going to win.
He's going to win the Cy
He's going to win the
Young.
National League Cy Young. The second pitcher, I'm most confident in it being Brady Singer. If we're talking about who's finishing in the top 10 for the Cy Young, I would lean towards Brady Singer for the point that we've talked about a lot on this show. Going into opening day, he's the only pitcher that's pitched 150 innings in Major League Baseball in one season.
Okay.
We've certainly never seen Nick Lodolo go through an entire season in a dominant form. I mean, whether he misses a few starts here and there for injuries or whether he misses 3 months, for injuries, it's been the story of Nick Lodolo's career so far. So I have a hard time believing, even if we get the healthiest version of Nick Lodolo, that he doesn't miss a few starts, here or there. And even if he comes back and he's dominant, I think he's going to miss too much time to finish top 10, and I just don't believe that Brady Singer will get there, even though I think he's going to be an incredible third arm in this rotation. Hunter Green's going to win it, but he'll be the only Red in the top 10.
I'm going to buy it just for the sake of optimism. I think that the Reds pitching staff is elite, and credit to everybody who said that coming into the year. I had doubts about it. They've performed better than I could have dreamed, and good for them. Good for Nick Krall. If for whatever credit or blame we give him for not addressing the offense, you have to credit him for having the pitching staff be as dominant as they could possibly be. So credit to Nick Krall. I think that if Nick Lodolo were to stay healthy, and it's a big if because he hasn't, if he stays healthy, man. You had this debate 2 years ago. You had this debate last year. They have the debate every year of whether or not who's the ace. I always think it's Hunter Green moving forward. But Nick Lodolo is so good. And if he stays healthy, there is a world where I see Nick Lodolo finishing in the top 10 in Cy Young. I see a world where Nick Lodolo could win the Cy Young eventually, health permitting.
Absolutely agree.
So I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy it just because I think the pitching staff is so good that they are going to be the reason the Reds are still competitive in the middle of the season. Maybe late in the season we'll find out. I know there's going to be a buy or sell about that coming up, but for the Reds pitching staff, if those 2 guys can be as good as they are, it's going to be hard to score runs. It's going to be hard to score runs if you're the Reds, but it's going to be hard to score runs if you're playing us. And that's at least how I see it right now. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got more buy or sells regarding the Cincinnati Reds. We're going to try to be optimistic. We're going to try to be positive.
That's right.
Don't know if it's going to work. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Elliot Rearing, Jacob Tissett. This is how you remind me. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Off the bench, Chatterbox Sports. You're here with Elliot and Jacob on Masters Friday. It's Masters Week, Masters Friday. It's the best time of the year to take a nap. There is not a better day, month, night, weekend, whatever you want to say. When it gets to Saturday and Sunday and you're watching late round, middle round Masters, boy, is it fun to take a nap. And you go to bed and you listen and you hear Jim Nantz, and it's like, oh my God, this is heaven. This is what it is. So it's a great week. It's a great weekend. Welcome on in, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. I know it's a lighter crowd today, and that's all right. But thank you guys very much. If you're here, hit the like button. We appreciate it a lot. Continuing over from last segment, Reds buy or sell. I said I'm going to try to be optimistic. This one's going to test me. This one's going to test me. So, Jacob Tissett, Reds buy or sell. The Reds will finish top 2 in the National League Central Division when the season ends. I'll start this one. I want to believe so badly that the Brewers are bad. I want to believe it more than anybody's believed anything. I want to believe it so hard and so true. But I'm wrong, because the Brewers are just better than I think. And it's a shame that their organization is run better than us, because I think that throughout all the past, 10, 15 years, they've been unbelievable. They haven't been able to win a World Series, but they've been great. They've owned this division, them and the Cubs, I guess. So I'm going to say that the Reds don't. I'm going to sell this. They don't finish top 2. Right now, all I want to beat out, and I know this is sad, all I want to beat out is the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's all I want to beat out. I don't care about the Cardinals. I don't care about the Cubs. I just want to beat out the Pirates, because I have to be right about one thing in this life eventually. I am right that the Reds are better than the Pirates at every aspect, as an organization, as a fan base, as a roster. Every single aspect of the Reds is better than the Pirates. And I want to be right year after year. So is that a low bar? Sure, it's a horribly low bar and honestly embarrassing. But that's the bar I'm setting. So no, the Reds do not finish top 2 in this division. I would bet a lot of money they finish 3rd. The Brewers are just going to be better than I think. And the Chicago Cubs, this season, there is no reason for the Chicago Cubs not to win the division. Just no reason.
Yeah.
The Cardinals are bad. The Pirates are bad. The Reds are bad. The Brewers are the Brewers. And then you have the Cubs, who are just leagues ahead of everybody. So good for the Cubs. I'm going to say that the Reds are going to be in competition with everybody later on in the season for a chance at that second spot in the division. I don't think the Brewers are 10 games ahead of the Reds. It's just they own the Reds head-to-head, and I think that's the tiebreaker when we're looking at who finishes second in the division.
Yeah, I don't think the Reds are going to be close. And I know this was supposed to be a little bit more optimistic.
We're positive.
I don't think the Reds are going to be close to top 2 in the division. The Cubs are, I think they're one of the better teams in the National League, and they're going to win the division going away. And I don't know how you could watch that Brewers series and be convinced that this Reds team's close. They got, completely shut down by a AAA pitching staff. Nestor Cortez shut out the Reds and then gets sent down to AAA because he's injured and can't pitch. So, yeah, I'm not optimistic about the Reds finishing top 2 in the National League Central. Now, I think we could have a very fun summer and finish 3rd. I think there's a world, where this team can be, very entertaining throughout the middle months of this year, and we finish 3rd. How can you watch the first 13 games of this season and think they're going to finish above the Cubs or the Brewers? No, you can't. You just can't, and that's okay. Expectations were too high with Terry Francona. I'm hoping next year's the year. Next year's the year they better spend some money, or I'm going to lose my mind. But and just because you don't finish top 2 in the division, I don't think I'd want to win the division. Top 2 in this division doesn't get you into the postseason. There's no award for second place for the NL Central. It's just what spot you come in. There's 10 other wild card teams that are probably going to have 90 wins this season and make it a fun race come September. It's just I don't see the Reds in that picture. Maybe as of right now it's going to be a long year, but we'll find out later. But I think Jacob and I are on the same page there. Heading over to the next buy or sell. Buy or sell without Elly. Without Elly. So this is factoring out Elly as his own entity. I'm going to need a definition.
The Reds' core lineup. Do you believe in the core lineup of the Reds moving forward?
I'm going to need a definition.
Spencer Steer, Noelvi Marte, Will Benson, Tyler Stevenson. Who else am I forgetting? CES. Matt McClain. You believe in that group of guys in 2026, in 2027, in 2028. You believe in these guys as they get older and mature and see more major league pitching and get more experience. You believe that those guys are good enough to get the Reds to propel them into the postseason. Without Elly De La Cruz. This is not factoring in Elly De La Cruz. As part of that lineup, he's established himself. He's proven himself. The rest of the guys have not. Do you believe that they are going to be, not Elly level, but Major League Baseball players that are competitive and at least help the Reds more than they hurt the Reds?
More of them than not. So
Okay.
I think I will buy this because I don't think with the way the Reds have been able to build this team, we talked about it last year extensively. There's too many guys. We don't have enough spots to, put all these guys in the lineup. And that allows you to have some misses. And, if Noel Marte is a miss, maybe this team can be okay with, McLean. I know you said excluding Elly, but Elly obviously plays the shortstop position. And that's, somewhere Noel was coming up as a shortstop. So that certainly, plays into that role. And yeah, I do believe in this core because I believe in Tyler Stevenson. I believe in Matt McLain. I believe, obviously, in CES to a degree to play first base at a consistent level. I think outside of that, you have to include the pitching as well. When you talk about this young core, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, that matters. That's part of this as well. These are guys that came up on relatively a similar timeline here for this core now, and then they're peaking in what should be their primes if they're able to stay healthy, competing for. We just talked, will they finish both top 10 for Cy Young? That's not a lot of teams having that conversation about their 1 and 2 guys. So if you include some of those pitchers as well, I absolutely do believe in this young core. I think Matt McLain. Would love to see him play some baseball this season, but I still have faith in him, coming up and being a staple at second base for this team. We know what Elly is at shortstop. The pitching staff I believe in. Tyler Stevenson, I would love to get extended. I believe in him. Outside of that, I don't have a lot of faith. I think my faith really dwindles with Spencer Steer in the outfield, and it comes from what position does he play. I think, a guy that would certainly be considered part of this young core if he came up in Cincinnati and not an off-season trade would be Gavin Lux. Where does he fit? Is he going to be third baseman when Jeimer Candelaria finally gets pulled from this lineup because he's, the worst baseball player of all time? I don't know. He's certainly not a left fielder. We saw that in Milwaukee. It's tough. It's tough because I think you have this core on two sides of a massive spectrum here. I mean, all we've seen from Elly and McLain when they've been up is greatness. Last year we saw greatness from Tyler Stevenson at the catcher position. We've seen those top 2 pitchers be great whenever they're on the mound. And then the other side of it is basically giving you nothing. So when you average it out, I think you have faith, but it's not a lot of it.
I'm going to sell. I hate to be negative.
I knew you were.
It's supposed to be positive. I'm going to sell it. I believe in the pitching staff for what it's worth.
Immensely.
I believe in the pitching. I believe in Hunter Green. I believe in the pitching staff. There's a lot of depth there. They've done a good job at drafting pitchers. Good for them. My issue with the lineup is what it's been for 5 years. Nobody can stay healthy. Nobody can give me consistent baseball. Matt McLain, when he came up 2 years ago, sure. Was he great? 100% he was. Haven't seen anything since. Can't judge him. I'm not going to call him Nick Senzel yet because he was better in his, 2 months than Nick Senzel ever was. But I'm concerned.
How could you not be?
CES. Good in a limited capacity 2 years ago. He's been terrible since.
Yeah.
Yes, he was injured last year, which is another area of concern. You can't help getting hit in the wrist or whatever it was. But he hasn't been good. Spencer Steer. Spencer Steer on a good baseball team bats 7th or 8th. I like him. I think he's a good baseball player. A good team has Spencer Steer in the starting lineup. But Spencer Steer isn't a guy that's going to carry you to the promised land. He's not going to put you on his back and walk you to the finish line. It's just not going to happen. I like him, good baseball player, just not going to happen that way where he has to carry the load. Gavin Lux, for as long as he's here.
Yeah.
What do you think about Gavin Lux? He's a utility guy. He's a utility baseball player. He's a Jonathan India, a little bit of a better Jonathan India. Tyler Stevenson. I love Tyler Stevenson. Love him. I had doubts about him coming into last season. He proved me wrong. I was wrong. I think Tyler Stevenson, out of anybody, maybe next to Matt McClain, if you're going to extend somebody, deserves that extension. But in terms of being as consistent and good of a major league caliber lineup can be, I don't think they've got it. I don't think they've got it. And I know they don't got it because for the past 2 years it hasn't worked.
Right.
This year isn't done yet, mind you. But Nick Krall sitting on his hands and saying, let's just believe, it doesn't get you anywhere. You can't just believe in CES to not hit 170. You have to have a baseball player out there that can play baseball. No disrespect. CES is young. I get it. You know, I think that the belief in this core from 2023 has carried so much weight that I think it's been detrimental to the roster construction of the offense for the past several years.
When you're putting all your eggs in the basket of, 3, 4, 22, 23-year-olds to be your entire offense of a team that's, trying to be a contender for the first time in a decade, it's not a great way to operate.
No.
Teams that have success with an immediate young core, it's because they surround them by solid veterans that have done it before and
Correct.
can show them, the way of playing Major League Baseball when they come up. And you supplement that young core with developed guys that are performers at areas of need, and the Reds have been unable to do that. And, maybe you can argue that if Jeimer Candelario was an everyday power bat third baseman, is that exactly what the Reds need? Maybe. And then you get into the burdens of a small market team. We talk about it all the time with external free agents, but that also comes with guys like Jeimer Candelario, like Mike Moustakas. You make a contract like that, you make a signing like that, and it doesn't work out, you don't have the wiggle room to pull yourself out of that. You're in hell for the rest of that time. You have 3 years left on Jeimer's deal, counting this one. That's a tough pill to swallow if he's going to look like this, because he doesn't look like a professional baseball player at all. And it makes it very frustrating. It's 11:15 on April 11th. When do you think we get our first Nick Krall, we believe in the guys in this locker room? No external additions, we believe in the guys in this locker room.
If they lose this series or get swept in this series.
I was going to say, I think we get it this weekend if they don't win the series.
If they don't win the series, I think we get it this weekend.
Yeah. And that's the biggest twist of the knife.
It is because you don't believe in the team. And everybody knows that. I want to believe in what the Reds got going on offense. Pitching staff, good job. Offense, different story. And I hope it changes. I hope they all improve. I hope they all become superstars. I don't see that world, So you can't get lucky.
Right.
You can't get lucky every time.
Now, you mentioned it there, and before we send it to break, I just wanted to ask you. You mentioned it there. You think Tyler Stevenson would probably be right behind Matt McClain in terms of contract extensions.
Sure.
For players on this Reds team. I certainly agree. I think if you're looking to extend anyone, obviously the uphill battle with Elly De La Cruz is what we're all interested in. But outside of that, the two that make the most sense, Tyler Stevenson, Matt McClain. A name I wanted to throw out there that no one mentions is Hunter Green not number one? Why wouldn't you be looking to extend him further? And I'm only like a third kidding.
Yeah.
You didn't sign him to some massive 10, 12, 15-year deal. You didn't. You signed him to a 6-year deal. He is dominant. He is one of the best pitchers in baseball, and you have him on a bargain. You might be able to get him on another bargain and add a couple years. So I think there's, at least a conversation to be had about cracking that door open and trying to have a conversation with Hunter Green about extending him further. Because he is such a dominant piece of this team. You can't let him leave ever. Even 6 years from now. Obviously, who knows how he's pitching in 5-6 years, but extending Hunter Green again, I don't think would be the worst idea.
So it would be like him and Elly would probably be up at the same time. I think there's a team option in there, but he's signed through 2028. I believe with a team option.
Right. So all the guys we're talking about extending expire roughly the same time he does.
Yeah, I mean they have to get on it. But you talk about whether Nick Krall believes in the team. If there's one guy you have to believe in outside of Elly De La Cruz, it's Hunter Green. He's been
absolutely
a godsend. So you have to get that deal done. The issue I'd imagine they're having right now is they don't have a ton of money. They don't know the future of baseball, whatever happens with the union and everything like that. So who knows how much money they're going to have?
Obviously, there's a lot of external factors.
The implications.
I just mean more from the standpoint of we took a gamble on him. He took a gamble on us in that first contract extension.
Yeah, and it worked.
It's worked overwhelmingly for the Reds.
Yeah.
I just think that's an interesting conversation to have.
I agree. I agree with you.
Evan Maurer does bring up a good point in the chat. Sean Connor mentions, he's 102 mile an hour pitch away from a second Tommy John. Who knows, how that happens. Evan Maurer says, Chase Burns coming up. We took Rhett Lauder last year. A lot of pitching depth. Maybe that is a short-sighted move. But when I watch this Reds team, and there's 26 guys on the roster, and I think 2 of them are good.
Yeah.
I'm interested in extending those 2 guys.
You get excited, and that's a fair point. I got a couple more buy or sells. These might be a little quicker ones. Who knows? But ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports off the bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Saving Me? Is that one of the songs? Is Saving Me a Nickelback song? I don't know.
Hold me now. I'm 6 feet from the edge, and I'm thinking.
Yeah, you nailed that.
Maybe 6 feet ain't so far down.
You see, you got to crescendo that. You got to get it louder, not quieter. You got to go.
I was going with the.
I see.
With the stinger.
ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports off the bench. Elliot, Jacob, here with you on a Friday.
It's my voice was good enough to get us copyrighted.
Huh?
They're gonna be like, oh, they played Nickelback on the street.
I don't think that was good enough to get us copyrighted.
I think so.
You think so?
Maybe.
That's positive,
the
Jacob.
people driving their car right now are like, oh my gosh, I thought I was listening to Off the Bench. Why did Nickelback come on?
Yeah. Shout out to the good people of Dayton right now listening to us. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, we thank you very much. Kinner out today. Hopefully he will be back on Monday. Buyers, yeah, hopefully. Reds buy or sell. Elly De La Cruz, he's going to steal 60 bases this year. And I got bad news. As by the way, and I'm not going to keep. I got healthcare providers calling me left and right. Shout out to my mom for putting me in together with all the healthcare people in the world, providing me insurance. Elly De La Cruz stealing 60 bases. He's got 2. It's a problem.
Yeah,
and I think this is what when we talk about Terry Francona and the difference between him and David Bell. Oh, well, they're too aggressive on the base path. That might be why the offense scored runs.
They were also one of the best base running teams last year.
Elly De La Cruz steals bases. He has 2 this season. 2. It's not good enough. I mean, it's not on Elly because somebody's telling him to not run. And I don't know who that is. I'd imagine it's Terry Francona saying we're not going to steal bases this year. But my question to him is, if you don't get to second or third, how exactly do you plan on scoring runs? So I'm going to sell this because I don't think Terry Francona believes in it.
I bet on it because I thought it was laughable. I thought this might be the last year of my life that I get Elly 60 stolen bases at plus money. And I thought it was going to be, an investment, send little Jacob Jr. to college one day. But it seems Terry Francona has other plans. Elly's, as a player, only is who he is when he's running. And I know that might be a little bit, reductionist for how good he is as a baseball player. Obviously, he makes a big difference to this team, whether he's stealing or not. He can't be Elly De La Cruz if he's not running on the base paths.
Yeah.
And that is really, really frustrating to me, because what was the conversation last year for this baseball team, right? We were like, we have these new rules, right? Bigger bases, no pickovers. And we built this team to play a new brand of baseball. And we were maximizing that on the base paths, and we were manufacturing runs. And it was a way that a lineup that we didn't have a lot of faith in could stay competitive offensively.
Sure.
Didn't get us to the playoffs last year. Obviously, I think a lot of other things, injuries and everything else had a lot to do with that. I do think it would have more success.
Yeah.
That model. You don't have 9 guys in a lineup that we have confidence of getting on base. So how do you move Elly from first to second? You have him run there. And I think if you're Terry Francona, and maybe this is what I talked about a little earlier when I said maybe he doesn't recognize that this team, I can't manage it the way I managed the Red Sox and the Guardians. I got to do something a little different. Mm-hmm. I think that, he's going to open Elly up at some point. I do think it's going to be too late to get to that 60 number. But I do think there's going to be a month or two in here in the summer for the Reds where Elly, maybe he does, have that 20 stolen base month that we saw last year. I do absolutely think that can be in the cards, because he's going to get hot, and he's going to be a really, really fun player to watch all year long, regardless of this slump he's on right now. I don't think he's going to get to 60, and I think that's just because of the start he's on now. Two stolen bases through 13 games certainly doesn't set you up for a lot of success in terms of that number.
I don't see a world where it happens. But, and that's not a knock on Elly. That's all on Terry Francona or whoever's in charge of that decision. But it's a shame. It's a shame, because that's where the Reds shine, at least what we thought. That's how they shined. Going over to our next buy or sell, Jeimer Candelario hits 20 home runs this year. You want to say sell first or me?
You can say it first.
Sell.
Okay.
Because I think and this is no disrespect, of course, you just can't play baseball for the Reds.
No.
It's bad.
I'll also sell, obviously. There's no chance in hell I'm buying this one. Jeimer Candelario, 43 at-bats so far this year. Yeah, he has 6 hits.
How many extra base hits?
1 double, no home runs, no triples. So
this is a guy we thought could hit 30.
I'll probably sell that Jeimer Candelario has 20 hits in any single month.
Oh boy.
Like, he's horrendous.
Eventually there's going to come a point where you can't keep running him out. I don't know what that point is.
Brother, it's here.
Yeah, the issue right now, though, is that they're injured. So maybe when everybody's healthy and if we see a lineup.
Why not play Noelvi at third?
I don't think Noelvi's very good, is my thing.
He's better than this.
Yeah, I mean, certainly he probably.
You want me to Jeimer Candelario's Baseball Savant page is laugh out loud funny. Laugh out loud.
Yeah, I saw Reed was talking about it. Listen, I had concerns, but Reed was right. At some point, like during his stats, like it's like almost like every other year he had like a decent year, and I thought that was going to be the case. It's just not. I mean, I don't know why the Reds can't do it. The Reds cannot sign free agent bats. They've been unable to do it for a very long time. It was Nick Castellanos, played very, very well for the Reds. Outside of that contract, I'd love for somebody to find me a contract, like an actual extension, like a 2-year deal, 2-year plus deal, not a 1-year rental, a 2-year plus deal, where that player lived up to expectations. Honest to God, I don't remember one. If somebody could help me out in the chat, when was the last time the Cincinnati Reds signed somebody and they lived up to it besides Nick Castellanos?
Yeah, I was going to say Nick Castellanos.
Can't remember it.
No. Yeah.
So I don't know why that doesn't work out here. You think it works, but it just doesn't work. I mean, it just hasn't worked in 25 years. I would love a name. If somebody could give me a name, I know it's a limited chat today.
Scott Rowland was a trade, right?
Huh?
Scott Rowland was a trade.
Trade.
Not free agency.
Brandon Phillips, trade.
Shin-Soo
Shin-Soo Choo had one of his best career years in Cincinnati. Trade.
Right. Just while we're waiting for a name there, Jeimer Candelario, first percentile batting run value at -6. 4th percentile expected weighted on base average.
Yeah.
1st percentile expected batting average. 3rd percentile expected slugging. None of his exit velocity, barrel percentage, hard hit percentage, sweet spot percentage, or bat speed are above the 20th percentile. He's squared up only 21.2% of the balls he's seen this year. 9% percentile in whiff percentage, 14th percentile in K percentage. I mean, he is unplayable. Unplayable. And we don't have a choice because we gave him $15 million a year.
Yeah, I mean that's a joke.
You don't have a choice.
Evan, in the chat brings up Donovan Solano. If Donovan Solano is more than 2 years or 2 years or more, I would agree. But if that was a 1 year deal, it does not count. I'm looking for a two year deal guy that played for the Reds for several seasons and played well like a majority of the time. That's what I'm looking for. And I don't think so. Scott Rowland was traded. Will Myers was terrible. I see Will Myers. Matt Kemp was traded and terrible. Tyler Naquin, maybe Naquin.
We flipped Tyler Naquin for Hector Rodriguez. Half-year rental for him as an outfielder for the Mets. They missed the playoffs that year. Hector Rodriguez, one of the better minor league outfielders we have.
All right.
So, unbelievable trade there.
Greg Vaughn says Scott Bryant, maybe.
Josh Hamilton, also a trade.
Josh Hamilton trade. So who knows?
Jose Peraza, AJ Werth, certainly not a name for what you're looking for there, but that is my favorite name for in-stadium broadcast in the history of the Reds.
Jose Peraza. Yeah,
it was incredible.
Good. Sounded good. I like Eugenio Suarez. I like that a lot.
The best. When we had the middle infield of the back-to-back hitters, Jose Iglesias, Jose Peraza, it was just a full party for back-to-back hitters because their walk-up songs were so much fun.
Yes. Continuing on, Reds buy or sell here. This is one for you, Jay. I'm not even going to answer this one. CES hits 20.
No. Yeah, I'll sell it. He'll get hit in the wrist again, miss 20 games maybe. But I love to love CES.
You love the idea of CES.
Yes. The idea of CES is one of my favorite players on the Reds. I truly do really think he can be a crucial piece to this team. I haven't seen it in a long time. I haven't seen it since his first year he was up. Obviously, last year you try to forget it as much as you possibly can because he was hurt, and that's why he was bad. You can't quite, wipe that about 2 months where he was playing with a broken wrist out of your head because it was so bad to watch. And this year it certainly hasn't started phenomenally for CES. I don't think he's going to get to 20. I hope he gets close. I hope he continues to, give me a reason to have any kind of faith in him.
Yeah.
It's dwindling a little bit now, holding on as hard as I can. But yeah, I'm going to have to sell him getting to 20. I just don't see him crossing that number. I believe the betting line before the season was right around 15, 16.
Oh boy.
For him. So maybe he could still get there, but I don't see him getting all the way up to 20.
Yeah, I'm going to sell it. Sorry. I'm just going to sell it. I haven't seen anything. Going over to last two here. Factoring in injuries. Gavin Lux is the second best offensive player on this team. So you have to factor in that Matt McClain's not here. You have to factor in that Tyler Stevenson isn't here.
Spencer Steer can't use his arms.
Buy or sell that Gavin Lux is now your second best offensive player.
Yeah, I am going to buy it. Probably not for long. I would imagine when Austin Hayes comes back, if he's playing in the platoon role, I'd be pretty confident in him against left-handed pitching as our second best offensive bat. Gavin Lux is probably our second best offensive player until we get either Stevenson or McClain back in terms of confidence level. And I mean, certainly we're early enough in the season where a lot of these stats are very, very volatile in terms of one good game swings it and one bad game will tank your stats 13 games into a 162-game season. But, yeah, if you're asking me who in this lineup I have confidence in getting a hit, getting on base, it's Elly De La Cruz, it's Gavin Lux, and it's really no one else right now. And it's Gavin Lux isn't good. It's not because he's shown me that he's great.
No, it's just
because he's the only one that's relatively competent.
Yeah, I'm going to buy it as well. I mean, Gavin Lux has to be better. I mean, he just has to be better. A lot of strikeouts so far this season. I'm hoping he can be a player that I believe in. I had my doubts coming into this season. I think that he was so good with the Dodgers, and good being relative when you have Shohei Ohtani on your team, but he was serviceable with the Dodgers. And all I ask for him to be on the Reds is serviceable. Be the same exact player you were with the Dodgers, and we'll all be happy. I think he will be that. Give him some time, I guess, to figure it out. But as of right now, there's nothing. We got nothing. We got nothing offensively.
Right.
So Gavin Lux is number 2.
Has to be.
By default. And finally, last buy or sell. Here we go. Reds will be within 5 games of the wild card in September.
In September. The Reds will be in the wild card spot at some point this summer.
Really?
Yes.
Summer being when? You're talking June.
June, July.
You think the Reds will hold a wild card spot in June and July?
One of the 3.
Okay.
They will hold a wild card spot at some point while it's nice outside and we are going to Great American Ballpark.
Okay. That's actually, you know what? That's a good take, and I'll buy that
I
take.
am not comfortable with saying they'll be within 5 games in September.
I don't think I'm going to sell mine because I don't think they'll be within 5 games.
But just think about what we were looking at last year, right? This is what my mind keeps
Yeah.
going back to because it seems like the Reds' best chance this year is to hope for exactly what we saw last year, right?
Yeah.
Except for that last month or so. All throughout the summer, we're sitting in here talking about, wow, could the Reds get in the playoffs with 84, 85 wins?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Maybe we can get to that number. Obviously, that wasn't the case. The National League wild card last year ended up with 93, 89, 89. So good luck.
Good luck.
I think we're going to see something similar towards the end of this year. Maybe it's clumped up, in the middle part, and then teams pull away at the end. Prove me wrong, Reds. Would make me very happy. I don't think the Reds are going to be one of those teams pulling away at the end. I do think they're going to be in the mix in the heat of the summer. And that's something that I do think is very enjoyable for Reds fans.
When you have a good pitching staff, you're not going to be irrelevant. You're going to be in the thick of it. You're going to get frustrated with how you lose games when you don't score any runs, but you're going to be in the middle of it. The Brewers have done it for a long time where you think their offense isn't that good because their pitching staff is so good, right? The Brewers pitching staff's been elite for 5+ years now. And it's carried them to the postseason. It's carried them to a NLCS appearance. It's been very, very good. Another one. So I think that the Reds pitching staff is going to carry them a long, long way. I just don't think it's going to carry them to September because eventually the wheels fall off. Eventually you get tired. Eventually the weight of an entire lineup, 9 guys on your shoulders, it's just going to bring it down. And I think that's going to happen. I'm going to sell mine. I'm going to buy Jacobs that at some point in June, the Reds will hold one of the 3 wild card spots. I like that take, and that's what we're going to roll with. But
we're 13 games into the season, and that's what we're rooting for?
What else do I root for?
Hold one of 3 wild card spots with 3 months to go in the season.
We got the Cy Young.
We do have the Cy Young. Yeah, no. You know what? Since it's just the 2 of us today, I think we can do it.
You think you can do what?
Elliot and I, we would like to be the first to congratulate Hunter Green on the 2025 NL Cy Young.
He's good, man. He's so good.
He's unbelievable.
He's truly one of the most special
players
in baseball.
Is this one of the only things that could get you out to the ballpark at 1 o'clock on a Sunday?
Yeah.
You gonna go watch?
Yeah, Hunter Green.
Too.
Hunter Green. Because I know what you're gonna get. I'm gonna get 7 innings of scoreless, 10 strikeout baseball.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna enjoy every second of it.
Yeah. Now he's not only is he incredible. And he's my ace, he's our ace, and he's going to be in the mix for the Cy Young for as long as he's pitching at a high level. He also pitches well in the most entertaining way.
Yeah.
His last start, whatever it was on Monday, he had the top 10 pitcher velocities from that day. Top 10.
It's insane, man. It's insane.
He joined Sandy Alcantara and Shohei Ohtani as the only players to throw a 100-mile-an-hour pitch in the 9th inning of a game they started. It's unbelievable.
GOAT.
There's nothing like him right now.
GOAT. He is the GOAT right now. Shout out to Hunter Green. But that's it. That's our show. Somehow we got through 6 segments pretty quickly. To the haters who doubted us, that was for you. Randy, that's for you. Just kidding. Love you all. Thank you guys for tuning in today. We're going to come back for a little bit here, coming back for the YouTube side, and then we're going to go transition to Boxed Lunch. That's it. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports. Elliot and Jacob, it's a Friday fun day. We all want to be real big stars, rock stars. I haven't stopped thinking about. What was that?
Scream.
It's good.
Home Alone.
It's the painting. Remember the painting? It's exactly that. Yeah.
Mr. Beast thumbnail.
Huh?
Mr. Beast thumbnail.
Mr. Beast thumbnail.
I locked 20 people in a room and gave the winner $3 billion.
Yeah, they had to eat each other. Yeah. That's something like that. I will say I haven't stopped thinking about the Sergio Garcia outfit. I'll show. It's lived in my mind rent free.
Yeah.
The fact that his team, I guess when you have he went to live, so I guess when you have $1 billion, it doesn't really matter at some point how you dress. Look at Adam Sandler, but it's like, and look at me for example. I don't dress well at all, but I mean that's Ronald McDonald's. That's the same guy.
Yeah. No, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And the first thing I thought of when, I saw this one and I saw the upside down hat guy that I hate him so much. Once I saw upside down hat guy and Sergio's Ronald McDonald fit, I started thinking about how much thought I'd put into my outfits.
Okay.
Like if I got invited, right? When do you get invited to play in the Masters? About a year probably?
Yeah.
I would start then.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I don't even mean necessarily playing. If I won the lottery, I would start planning what I was wearing as a patron, like that day.
Oh yeah.
How do you walk out there in the McDonald's suit?
To McDonald, like, I wonder if like security gave him like a double, like he's like, you're gonna wear this at Augusta?
You think Augusta reached out to Jason Day, and they were like, hey, just run it by us.
Yeah.
Whatever you decide to wear this weekend, just
I bet
send
they
us a
did.
picture.
I bet they did. But the fact that they're gonna allow this guy to wear this,
They probably thought they were safe.
Yeah, I guess.
He's won a green jacket, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Recently, I mean,
Fairly
within the last 10 years, right?
Certainly within the last 10 years.
When did Sergio Garcia win his?
Certainly within the last 10 years. Or right on the cusp.
2017.
Yeah.
But Masters leaderboard as of right now, Justin Rose still in the lead. He is 1 under par through 9 holes today.
We know you're the sharp, you're the wizard when
I
it
am the
comes
wizard.
to golf gambling.
Thank you for saying that. It's very nice.
Did you just take Justin Rose first round, or do you have him to win the whole thing as well?
Nope, just first round.
Okay.
Just first round. Okay. He's going to fall off eventually.
Just want to make sure.
Not happening yet. -1 through 9 today. He leads at 8 under par. Ludwig Oberg, he is now through 1 under through 5 to get him in second place with Bryson DeChambeau, who is 2 under through 4. I do have a future on Bryson DeChambeau to win.
Very nice. Victor
Victor
Hovland, -2 up to tied 10th.
Okay.
I'm very interested in him because my redraft fantasy league is
Oh.
shifting to Dynasty this year.
Okay.
And we had a raffle of golfers in the Masters, and the order in which they finish determines the draft order for our Dynasty startup.
I love that.
And I have Victor Hovland.
I can't tell you how much I love that.
I would adore getting Jamar Chase. So if he would like to win this weekend, that would be great.
I saw that they were talking about Rory. I'm trying to find him right now.
Mark says he puts his youngest college fund on Rory just now.
Okay. Rory 1 under par through 5 today. He's 1 under through 2 days. So
Yep.
Rory's still in it. He's still got a shot. Xander Schauffele, he's 2 under for the day. He's now 1 under par.
I don't like Scotty just hanging out there.
Scotty hasn't teed off yet.
But he's just hanging out at -4.
Scotty's going to win.
100%.
He's going to win this event, and it's going to be brutal for me, who didn't bet anything on him because he's always plus 150 to win these things.
You know what I was thinking about today? I mean, just if Scotty does end up winning this Masters.
Yeah.
You know how everyone always, posts the parlays of, had the baseball champion, the football champion, the NFL champion, all the way down the line, and then, you have a Masters guy at the end, and it's 6-leg parlay plus $1 billion. You know how chalk this year is? Philly, Dodgers, Ohio State. If Scotty wins this,
That's all. It's just every favorite.
Florida was the betting favorite going into March Madness.
They were.
Ohio State and Georgia tied preseason for college football. Dodgers obviously the favorite for the MLB. Eagles were certainly up there to start the NFL season. I mean, there's probably going to be
It's Chalk City.
a couple of these.
I mean, it's straight up Chalk
I
City.
think NIL and the transfer portal is ruining the Masters.
It is ruining the Masters.
I know this is the Masters segment, but since we just brought up NIL and the transfer portal, did you see the Nico Iamaleava news?
Tennessee.
Tennessee's quarterback. They are involved in contract negotiations.
Oh, boy.
He is holding out.
Holding out.
And might enter the spring transfer portal if they don't reach a contract number.
Holding out.
College football's dead. It's dead.
What about a scholarship?
He wants $3 million cash.
What about the scholarship? How's he going to learn?
Yeah, I don't think he cares.
Like, what about, like, history class?
Well, he probably has to pay a lot of that money to Tennessee because he snapped 3 separate helmets against Ohio State last year. Cracked 3 helmets straight down the middle. It's crazy. But yeah, no,
What is the school situation when the university's paying you $3 million? What's the school's like?
That's the Tennessee report. Jacoby Gillespie, the transfer from Maryland for their basketball program, is reportedly getting $3.5 million. Xander Cruz says in our chat that his dad replied on Twitter and said that it was a lie, so not sure what's true. This was reported by Pete Nakos and ESPN and Pete Thamel and very, very prominent sources in the college football landscape. So as long as they're reporting it as truth, I'm at least going to believe that there's some truth to it. Now, maybe contract negotiations are the other way. When I hear those words, I certainly think Nico's asking for a raise. Maybe he's not. Maybe there's some conversation about spending that money elsewhere to bolster the rest of the lineup with revenue sharing coming in this year. I don't know. But the fact that we're having contract negotiations for college football's best players just makes me sick.
I think that there's a line in the sand somewhere. Holding out is that line.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to transfer, bro, you just transfer, man. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to make it a big deal.
I sent the picture to my friends I used to work with at Alabama yesterday when the news came out about this holdout and contract negotiations. NIL really took off in 2021. My second year at school, and Bryce Young was kind of a face of that. He signed a $1 million deal with Cash App. It was the first $1 million deal given to an active college football player. He posted the grainiest Instagram reel of him eating a Bojangles biscuit the day NIL became legalized, because that was what it was when it started. There were no foundations yet. It was just companies, giving you, a couple $100 here and there, a couple $1,000 here and there to promote their products. We've went in 4 years from grainy local fast food restaurant promos in the facility before practice to multi-million-dollar holdouts. This was never the intention.
No.
You can be pro player and pro revenue and all that stuff and still be anti this, because this wasn't NIL. This is in no way, shape, or form NIL. NIL is when they sell a jersey with Iamaleava on it in the Tennessee bookstore, you get money from that.
People forget that's where it started.
Correct.
Like,
And, if you're going to win the Heisman, Arch Manning, Heisman betting favorite going into this next year, he signed major deals with Viore, the clothing brand, and Red Bull this offseason, and those have all been commercial-oriented deals. That's NIL. If you're a household name in college sports, go sign those endorsement deals. Go sign with Nike. Go sign with Jordan. Go sign with Red Bull. Get your millions of dollars. But it was never supposed to be coming from the schools. And I know it's not directly hand-to-hand, school-to-player. I know it's the foundations, but we're all smarter than that.
Yeah.
This is pay-for-play, and it stinks because it's turning college football into the NFL. And the thing that makes college sports great, and we have the conversation when it comes to college basketball often, it's because they're not the pros. If you make college basketball the NBA, is that a better brand of basketball? Sure. Is it cleaner play? For sure. But that's not what we watch. We watch because of passion, and they're there because they want to play the game, not for money. And we're losing some of the pieces that make those of us that love college sports more than the professionals. And it really does just drive me up a wall.
I eventually, again, there's going to be a point where all of it's not fixed, but it's cleaned up.
Yes.
I'm hoping that happens within the next 5 years or so, because it is going to get worse before it gets better.
I agree.
These next several years, it's going to be, whatever you think the NFL is, it's going to be that in college.
For sure. And I do think a fix is coming. I think maybe
think
it's
the NCAA
misplaced
is the fix?
faith. No. I think the fix is the 5 power conferences secede from the NCAA, and they play their own game.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's more than fair.
And I think the next step, which is obviously a little further than that succession, because you would need them to leave the NCAA first, but I think there's a world where, you have football teams licensing school logos.
Yeah.
And these players aren't student athletes, they're just athletes.
It's true.
And I think that would be, a very scary place to be, but yeah, it's incredibly frustrating.
That's our show today. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. It's a Friday fun day. Quick update at the Masters. Bryson now 3 under through 5. Whew. He is at 6 under par. Ludwig Oberg bogeyed. So it is Justin Rose at 8 under through 10. Bryson DeChambeau at 6 under through 5. Those are your top two at the Masters. We got several 4 under pars. So
would Bryson be the best social media reaction?
yes. Or yes, unless it's somebody preposterous, like Freddie Couples or something.
Yeah.
Unless it's something outrageous. But he's the most realistic person to have a great reaction for, I would say.
Our guy, friend of the program, tied
John
29th, Tommy Fleetwood.
Who?
Our dear friend of the program, Tommy Fleetwood.
That's right. Tommy How was he doing?
Tied 29th.
Okay. I just want to say this, too. John Rahm stinks. That guy stinks. He
sold his soul.
Yeah, he sold his soul, and then he lost all his talent immediately.
Forgot how
that guy can't play in majors anymore.
So did he lose all his talent, or does not playing golf ever hurt you when you play golf on really hard courses?
I think that's part of it, too. I also think when you don't care for a majority of the year, and then you're like, I'm going to care right now.
Yeah.
It's like, well, actually, I don't. And so
right.
I mean,
it does seem like he cares because he gets really mad every single time
he does get mad.
He shanks it a lot.
He does get mad. Ugh. How's our guy Dunlap? Did he tee off yet? No, Dunlap hasn't teed off yet.
I would imagine he'd be real late.
That's actually going to be the best one. If Nick Dunlap goes ahead and wins this event.
Plus 18, claws back.
What if
he goes minus 18?
I was going to say, Masters record, 18 under par.
Yeah.
Every hole of birdie. Every hole of birdie, then he's got a real chance. Angel Cabrera.
It's tough. It's a tough look to go home. I'm sure he's sitting in his hotel or condo, Airbnb, wherever he's staying in Augusta, looking at the scoreboard. He's 8 strokes beyond the next guy. And it's really 12 strokes.
If you're him, you're playing just not to come in last, right? That's your goal. Like, is that the new goal, or is it like I just want to be better?
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can.
Currently, second to last is plus 10.
One of those old guys
is plus 18.
Angel Cabrera. It's his first. He's already played through 14 holes today. He's terrible. Anybody else? No.
I mean, no one else is going to sniff 90.
I bet on Sepp Straka. He's terrible. Plus 6. Tied for 82nd.
Worst bet I have out right now is Wyndham Clark, top 20. He's tied 78th.
That's not good. By the way, the guy
Max Homa also forgot how to play golf, by the way.
Max Homa's tough, man. I love Max Homa.
He was so good until he crumbled at the Masters.
Yeah.
What, last year?
Was it last year or 2 years ago?
Or was it 2 years ago? He hasn't done anything since.
I think it was 2 years ago. But that's a shame. The guy who pissed in Rays Creek, he tees off at 123, so be sure to watch that one. Phil Mickelson at 112. I got a couple bets on Phil today to beat his group. But that's it. That's our show. ESPN 1410 Wing AM. I don't have to do that anymore because we're on YouTube, actually. That's just a brain thing. We'll see you guys on Monday. We got Box Lunch coming up in about 35 minutes or so.
Thank you, everybody.
Love you.